Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from Alexander Grace. Entitlement. Women entitlement. It's probably one of the most disgusting things that us men go through with women. It's pretty disgusting how entitled, how they treat men. How they want equality, but always want to be superior, but yet inferior in so many different ways. They want to be superior in intellect, jobs, everything, clout, status, but they want to be inferior when it comes to money. They still want the man to take care of everything. Please like, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And let's get to that chow time.
When a guy meets your friends for the first time, should he pay for all your friends, even if there's like 4 of them?
The fuck?
1, 2, 3, yes.
Sure, because they're women, they're entitled to a free meal.
Right.
You might think that this kind of sexism and narcissism and entitlement only exists on TikTok, but you're wrong. It also exists on Reddit. I know because I found a real life story where this issue comes up. Listen to this. This story is extraordinary. I, 24-year-old male, and my wife, 24-year-old female, are newlywed couples. My wife has 4 friends who have been really close with since high school. For a celebration, my wife decided to go to an expensive steakhouse. Why, you may ask, would a woman who's on a girls' night out with 4 of her female friends invite her husband to come? Isn't that a weird dynamic? 5 women and 1 man? Well, yes.
Yeah, it's to pay the goddamn bill. I'm probably pretty positive.
It is, but her motivation is going to become very clear in a moment. The day comes and we go in separate cars there. We all eat and my wife slides the bill, $700 plus, and proceeds to say, the man should always pay for the wife and her friends. I laugh awkwardly, saying, why? She says, because I'm the man. Don't you just love it when women are all of a sudden in favor of traditional gender roles? This man should pay $700 for all of the women at the table because he's a man. Of course, if he said, you need to wash my clothes, cook my meals, spread your legs anytime I ask you to because you're a woman, that would be incredibly sexist. That's outrageous. Those kinds of traditional gender expectations are disgusting. When it's coming from a man, of course. When it's coming from a woman, it's absolutely fine because reasons. I tell her that the only other person I would pay for would be you and me. Her friends proceeded to laugh at me, calling me a broke husband. I stand up and put 2.
Those are some disgusting friends, by the way. For your friends to be calling your husband a broke husband because he's not paying for them. These women are just using you, man. This is grade A used right here, used goods. You need to get out of this relationship now.
$100 bills for me and my wife's food and leave. Yeah, that seems totally acceptable from the friends to laugh at him and shame him because he's a broke husband and they're entitled to his money. My wife gets home and starts screaming at me, saying I made her feel embarrassed, how she promised her friends that I'd pay, and that her friends made fun of her on the ride home for marrying a man who can't pay the bill. I decided to pack a bag and head to my friend's house. Yes. I told my parents/friends and they say that I should have just paid it. Now I'm having second thoughts if I overreacted. What the fuck is wrong with your parents and your friends? How could they possibly take her side in this? Everyone apart from the guy in this story is completely messed up. What is wrong with the woman's friends?
This is how society is nowadays. The whole society is blue-pilled. Parents, friends, fucking everyone thinks that women should be taken care of, paid for all the time. Bullshit. And it's not like that. And it won't be like that anymore. So
what kind of twisted system of morality says that it's okay to just surprise a man with a $700 restaurant bill that you did not discuss beforehand, and then when he objects to it or acts surprised, you shame him, you laugh at him? The wife promised her friends that he would pay, and she didn't even talk to him about it first. She just expected it. And when she gets home, instead of discussing it, she screams at him. Why do people think that it's okay to resolve conflict and express emotions by screaming at each other? Gentlemen, I don't care if you're in the wrong. If you've made a mistake and it's well-intentioned, that does not give the right for your partner to scream at you. She's an adult. She can talk to you. Do not tolerate women yelling and having tantrums. And
100%, men, do not tolerate women yelling at you. Don't tolerate anybody yelling at you. The only people you can kind of somewhat tolerate that is maybe your parents. You know, like especially your bosses. Your bosses should not be yelling at you. They should, if they are good leaders, good bosses, they should explain things to you and not yell at you. That's one thing that I'm a little bit bad at. I raise my voice. I speak kind of loudly, and people think I'm yelling, which I'm not. It's just how I was raised. Most of my family just are has bolstering voices, and we speak kind of loud. So
And the expectation that the man paid the $700 bill because he's a man is so incredibly sexist. That is the wife treating the man as though he is her property. And
Yeah.
I thought that feminism taught us that spouses were not meant to do that in a marriage.
no. Feminine taught them that women are not allowed to be properties in marriages. That's all they cared about.
Some of the stuff that you guys send me on Hey Hero, asking for my advice about the expectations and entitlement that your wives have over you is bone chilling. And this isn't even the worst. I've got 2 more stories that demonstrate just how bad a wife's entitlement over her husband can get. These are cautionary tales that every man needs to hear. But first, if you're wondering how I'm able to read these Reddit stories without all of the anger contorting my skin and giving me creases, it's because I use Tish Hanley. And get started today. Okay, back to the video. If you thought that the financial consequences of your wife expecting you to pay for all of her friends was bad, wait until you hear this story. We are going to soar into new heights of female entitlement. My 28 wife, 27, graduated medical school in 2021. They had a graduation party since everyone was vaccinated, but it was pretty small due to the recent outbreak there. You could only bring 1 guest and you had to socially distance again. Her medical school decided to invite the pandemic graduates to this year's graduation event. They planned this all out pretty last minute, only giving 3 weeks notice that this was happening. But my wife was very excited about it. She gets paid crumbs and works long hours as a resident, so I get why she wanted to relax and have fun. The issue is that I had a huge work trip the next day that had been planned for months. I don't travel a lot for work, and so they went all out to make this comfortable, and I had a lot riding on it. If I didn't do well, I would probably be fired, and if I did well, there were 2 open positions I could be promoted to.
Nice.
My wife wanted to come with me, so my company comped her flight, and we were going to make a vacation out of it after my presentations. We were flying out the night of the party to ensure I made it on time for the meetings the next day. I told my wife we shouldn't go to the redo event since we had to fly out and it would be very tight. She insisted we go since the party started at 3 p.m. and our flight left at 9 p.m., but the gala was 1.5 hours away from the airport. We made a plan to leave at 5:30, pack everything in our car beforehand so we could go straight to the airport. So just to recap, his wife has invited herself on this work trip and the company has paid for everything.
Yeah.
Lucky woman. The husband didn't want to go to this graduation event because while a celebration is nice, his work is a lot more important. But he compromised, saying, yes, we can go provided that we leave at 5:30 so we have enough time to catch the flight. He's a very decent guy. He invites his wife on this work trip. He's trying to accommodate her celebration. So let's see how she responds to his generosity.
I agree. He's a reasonable man. Sounds very similar to me. If I can make it work, I'll make it work. If it's not that much extra trouble, yeah, come on. Company's paying for it. We're gonna enjoy ourselves a little bit, but I need this shit done this way. If it doesn't get done this way and at this time of manner, you're gonna fuck me. And if you're gonna fuck me, you're fucking both of us, in a sense.
But by 5:30, she just started saying goodbye. I told her we needed to leave ASAP, but she said no, we don't have to be 2 hours early for our flight, etc. Remember, she had already agreed to leave at 5:30. Around 6 p.m., this guy from med school, who had a crush and asked her out multiple times, grabbed her hand and pulled her to another table. I went up to them and told him he needed to back off. He said I needed to treat her better and to let her enjoy herself. I looked at my wife, but she ignored me. A male orbiter who's already asked out a married woman multiple times grabs her, physically contacting her, pulls her away, and then when the husband objects, he openly criticizes and disrespects the husband in front of the wife. And how does she respond? Silence. At this point, I wasn't going to try and convince her to stick to her word anymore. I told her I was leaving for the airport and took our car. There was a ton of traffic and security was a mess, so I only had a few minutes to spare before getting on the plane. She texted me horrible things. I never responded/engaged, but she kept texting me how I was horrible and don't understand what it's like to have COVID ruin a huge moment for you. In practical terms,
It's just a party. A small, stupid graduation party with your stupid friends, and that's it. How important is that shit? I didn't even go to my own prom. I didn't think anything was that important about it. Do I regret it? Slightly, but It wasn't that big of a deal. This whole, oh, you don't know how horrible it is. This COVID ruined it. Shut the fuck up. People are such bitches when it comes to like everything in life. Even if it's just a slight discomfort in your life, everybody's bitching and moaning. Shut the fuck up, learn to deal with it, and grow some thicker fucking skin. God damn it, people.
Exactly did she expect? Like, how could he demonstrate that he does understand what it's like to have COVID ruin a huge moment? Would that proof look like him allowing her to break her word, to not stick to the agreement? If he had lost his job, would that have proved to her? As bratty and entitled as she's acting, how does she then follow up? Does she apologize? No. Does she take her upset and decide to deal with him as an adult? No, she texts him all these horrible things. I disagree. She still had a graduation party. It's not my fault she didn't get to dance. I don't see what the huge deal was, and conversely think she didn't understand that this would cost me my job if I missed the flight. And since I make up around 70% of our income in a high cost of living area, we would essentially be homeless. If he had lost his job, do you think she would have willingly supported him? If they had to move out of their apartment because they couldn't afford the high cost of living, do you think she would have taken the blame? We've been on tense terms since this happened in June. She brings it up a lot and is recommending therapy so I can learn how to behave in a marriage. But I don't think we need it, since she's the one who caused this whole problem in the first place and should take accountability for that first. But am I way off here? No, stick to your guns. You did fine. Her behavior is disgraceful. She won't let this go. She's the one who's bringing this up. She's 100% in the wrong.
Right.
Such a disgusting, low-quality woman. She should be ashamed of herself. And the worst is gaslighting him, saying that he's the one who needs therapy. This is the kind of woman who views men as only having value to the degree to which they're sacrificing themselves to make her life better. It's incredibly sexist.
I'm doing this particular episode is to show you the type of women that are out there and to stay away. If you are going to date, which, more power to you, or if you guys want to leave, more power to you. But if you are going to date here, there's these types of women that have this type of entitlement you really need to stay away from. You really do.
Expects the world to just magically rearrange itself to suit her whims and feelings. She feels like dancing, and so that's what's important. Well, what about the plane? What about the non-negotiable schedule? What about the fact that I might lose my job? Not important. She feels like dancing. I'm the woman. I shouldn't have to think about all that. I want to dance. You, man, you go sort it out. And if you think that reality is more important than my feelings, then you need therapy. You need to be taught by a professional how to conduct yourself in a marriage. And that orbiter guy who physically dragged her away and insulted him and she just let it all happen, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if she'd hooked up with him. He was way too
100%.
comfortable and familiar with her. Here's a rule for your relationship that shouldn't be remotely controversial. If a man asks your girlfriend or wife out, she's never allowed to talk to him again. Call me sexist, controlling, I don't give a shit. Non-negotiable. She's not allowed to have orbiter men whispering in her ear, telling her that she should leave you. Not okay. And what kind of low-quality woman thinks it's okay to still interact with a scumbag man like that? But believe it or not, we can sink even lower. I've got a final story that's even worse. My husband, 65, and I, 47, have been married for 10 years. All right, right off the bat, 18-year age difference. Let's just make some guesses, some predictions. Who here thinks that this man is going to be poor? After my husband's retirement party, the discussion of wills and inheritance came up. Well, that didn't take long for it to become about finances. Yep. Who's surprised? My husband informed me that he's leaving our marital home to his daughter, 30, in his will, which left me completely blindsided and shocked. I am aware that due to our significant age difference, I will most likely outlive husband by many years and will probably have to spend the last decades of my life alone. So I was really upset, but also angry to learn that I will most likely be kicked out of our house after my husband's death and left homeless. My husband explained to me that I knew the house belonged to his late wife, who inherited it from her parents, and that I couldn't possibly expect him not to leave the house to their daughter. So just to recap, this house belonged to his deceased wife's parents, who left it to their daughter, and now he's leaving it to his daughter, his deceased wife's daughter. But for some reason, this new wife feels like she deserves the house more than his daughter. Let's find out why. I replied that the house now belongs to him, and as his wife, I have a right to my marital home, and it's not fair that I will be kicked out of our home after I spend so much time and effort redecorating it and making it my own, and become homeless after his death because I am a housewife and have nowhere else to go. He has an obligation to ensure my financial safety after his death. He said that it will be incredibly unfair to his daughter and his late wife if I inherit the house, and his wife would never have wanted that. She feels entitled to his deceased wife's house because she spent time redecorating it.
Right?
Oh boy, some people. His wife died unexpectedly at a relatively young age before she got around to making a will, so my husband automatically got the house as per inheritance laws. He also explained that I am the sole beneficiary of his life insurance and any savings left will be equally divided between me and his daughter. However, I don't think this money would be
That's pretty fair. That seems pretty fair to me. If she's getting all the life insurance, he's just not getting a house out of it, and the life insurance might be enough to get a house. So.
enough for me to survive the rest of my life, especially as my husband plans on having expensive cruises and holidays for the rest of his retirement. Is there anything more obnoxious than a gold digger who doesn't know that she's a gold digger? She's already getting all of his life insurance, half of his savings, and that's not enough. She's resentful that it's going to get split with the daughter. She spent 10 years as a housewife, and in her mind, that means that he's obligated to financially provide for her for the rest of her life because of reasons. You can just tell how bitter she is that he's going to spend his own money on cruises and expensive holidays. She's pissed because in her mind, that's her money. This is where, unfortunately, our argument escalated and we started yelling at each other. I told him he is screwing me over after everything I have done for him. After I gave up my...
What the fuck have you done for him in 10 years, really? He had a kid already. He has his own business. He's retiring. You just gave him some fucking sex. So I'm sure that's all you did, and just cleaned up the house a little bit.
job and my career for him to look after our home and that I deserve to be compensated.
Bullshit. You guys don't even have kids together. You gave up your career to look after the home yourself. There's no way he told you to quit.
My God, what a noble sacrifice
Right?
for her to give up her job for him. That must have been so difficult for her to give up the 9-to-5 grind working for a boss in order to go and be a housewife for him. What a sacrifice. Like she said, she deserves to be compensated. He retorted that he never asked me to become a housewife, and
guess
it was
what?
completely my own choice, that I knew the risks and benefits and made an informed choice, and that he will be leaving a reasonable inheritance, and if I am not happy with it, I should go back to work. I told him I never knew that I wouldn't get the house and that it's late for me to return after being out for over 10 years.
Oh,
so
shut
it turns
up.
out that he didn't even ask you to leave your job. And no, it's not too late for you to go back to work. You want money, go out and earn it. That's what he did. That he is being an asshole for leaving me stranded like this, and that this is not what I agreed to, and he is being a sexist prick by not recognizing my contribution to our family. He laughed at me, saying I never any kind of financial contribution as we hired cleaners and housekeepers to do most of the chores.
This would piss me off even more. So you didn't even do the goddamn housework. You were a stay-at-home wife, and then now you're gonna be upset that you're not gonna get any money because I paid for house cleaners and shit anyways. So what the fuck did you do? Nothing. You just lived fucking a free ride. And you're getting half my money already. Like, why the fuck does it fucking matter?
And if anything, I was drained by all the money I spend. Honestly, at this point, I was so enraged and in tears, I screamed at him that he's been completely cruel to me and locked myself in the guest room. Her contribution. Why did this man marry her? She paints herself as this poor, suffering housewife who contributed so much. And as it turns out, they hired cleaners. They had
Right.
housekeepers. She didn't even do anything. All she did was spend his money. She had a good 10 years sponging off all of his hard work. But instead of feeling grateful for the free ride she's got, she wants more. I like that the man, the husband, is standing up for himself now. But honestly, if I was his daughter, I would be pissed. She has to split her inheritance with this woman. Man, please do better. Do right by your children. They deserve the fruits of all of your hard work, not some lazy moocher who's there for the twilight of your life. So there you go.
I 100% agree. This is where my dad did pretty well with like life insurance. He made the kids the beneficiary of all the life insurance for my mom, himself, and then even for us. We all have life insurance, and all the kids are the beneficiary. So my parents don't get anything.
That's my rating for the top 3 worst stories of wife entitlement. If you like me analyzing real stories, you'd love my course. That's what that's all about. And if you like this format of me reading Reddit stories, then you should check out the full-length version of this video. It's available on my Patreon. It has an...
How's that, chow? Whew, that was some entitlement right there. Each woman just got progressively worse, and all of these are modern women. There's probably some women that can probably fit into all of these categories. Feel entitled that their husbands have to pay for their friends. Feel entitled that they deserve everything that the husband's ever earned or made, and feel entitled that, the husband has to bend over backwards and, give them everything that they wanted because they couldn't get something because of COVID. Women, protect yourselves, men. Protect yourselves. Please like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.